Greeting, everyone. Welcome. This is the morning meeting. Thank you for being part of it. Sean, Dan, and I are here to take you through the day, just like they do at the big boy networks and big girl networks, where they go through the day and then talk about what's happening. And here we take your questions too. If you want to be in on the conversation, please raise your hand. If you're not watching live on two-way, but on X or YouTube, don't put smack in the chat. Dan, why do we not like smack in the chat here? Why do we
It's a
oppose
little
that?
unbecoming. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
You can
Um,
make your point without being harsh or mean.
Wouldn't happen on a normal call.
well said. There'd be no smack, or there'd be lots of smack.
There'd be, well, not to everyone, not that everyone could read. You wouldn't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
It
Good
would be
point.
behind the
Good point. Good
normal
point.
office gossip is completely different than smack in a chat.
I want to, before we get to everything, I want to tell you guys about something and get your reaction. Nicole, of course, was here 2 days ago, talked about the SNAP benefits and how upsetting it was to so many. And we had a great conversation. And we had lots of community members say they were going to give to the food bank, do what they could to help. I want to tell you guys about a story. I got an email from one of our community members. He said he went to his congregation and said he's more moderate conservative. His congregation's more liberal. Went to the congregation and said, we should do this. Let's all organize together to raise money. And the congregation came back and said, if we do this now, it could get Trump off the hook because it would relieve the pressure on Trump to open up the government. So let's not do this until after the first or after the shutdown's over, maybe. Sean, you first. Just how'd you feel about that?
I'm actually blown away that somebody would want somebody to suffer, not eat, because they think that somehow Trump would find out about that. I mean, first of all, on a human level, that's disgusting. But the idea that somehow it would reverberate, I mean, just on a logical standpoint, it doesn't make sense either. Like somehow you're going to deny somebody food in, Massachusetts, and it'll somehow get back to Trump that, hey, in Springfield, there was a bunch of people that got hungry because we denied them food at a shelter. I mean, that's logically and morally ridiculous.
Dan.
I'd second Sean and just add that as a political matter, I don't think they also have the right read of this. I think it would
Yeah.
pressure Democrats to buckle. So,
Yeah.
but totally, I mean, joking
Yeah.
aside, I concur with everything Sean said.
Yeah. So again,
But
yeah, go
actually,
ahead.
Mark, if I can, on a
Of
broader
course.
sense, the idea that that's where people's head is going. Like, I honestly, in my worst political, cynical day, wouldn't think like that. And the idea that that's where some people are resorting to, which is how do we inflict pain? Like, I want to beat people at the ballot box. The idea of saying, like, let me figure out how I can make you hurt to win is just so unfathomable.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah.
in 2024 there were some moments when the challenge when the man out of office made some comments that essentially was don't help Joe Biden or Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Wait,
Well,
wait. No. I guess my point is politically, that's fine. But I'm saying, like, I wouldn't say, hey, make sure that, and I don't even know what the equivalency would be, but like, let's make sure that another human being suffers because we think somehow that's going to have a political consequence.
yeah. Dovetailing with this, somebody told me a story last night about losing a friend, a longtime friend, a couple who was friends with this person and this person's spouse, because they didn't think they were sufficiently negative about the destruction of the East Wing, rather. So stuff continues. But let's use this as an opportunity again, in the spirit of Nicole's great leadership. If you haven't already, you remember the community, you haven't already made some sort of contribution in kind or cash to a food bank in your community, please do. Let's be part of the solution. And if perhaps somehow your gift, your contribution, your generosity reverberates all the way to Washington, well, that would be like some hummingbird wings. Chances are it won't happen. All right, quick word from a sponsor here, and then we're going to get into the day book, and then our conversation, and then
Bless you.
bless
Thank
you,
you.
and then of course your questions. First sponsor today is the folks at Lean. TakeLean.com right now, 20% off the entire site. Promo code Mark. Don't do fad diets. Juice cleanses, cabbage soup, raw food. Don't do that. Weight cycling, you gain weight, lose weight. It's a very unhealthy way to do it. Leads to all sorts of problems. The folks at Lean have an oral supplement created by doctors that is backed by science and will help you maintain healthy blood sugar, control appetite and cravings, and of course, burn fat by converting it to energy. All these things done in a healthy and natural way, not an injectable, one of those GLP-1 injectables. So right now, again, go to takelean.com, use the promo code MARK, 20% off your entire order, and you'll be losing weight a healthy way. Again, takelean.com, promo code MARK, 20% off your entire order. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And I had white rice for dinner last night, so you know where my head is at.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, white rice. It's like poison, Dan.
No,
All right.
a little chicken. It's great.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's get to the day book. The president is in the air, coming back from his trip, and he lands at the White House at 3:05, back to the White House, and then right to a Halloween party. Pre-credentialed media can cover Halloween. Spooky. Sean, were you the Easter Bunny one year?
2 years.
2 years. How was that?
Well,
I know that wasn't for Halloween, but
no, but so I did it under the Bush administration, under the Bush president when I worked for President Bush. Pro tip: if you want to, I would say any furry or big mascot, go early. First year I learned my lesson when I was the Easter Bunny. I think it was like 10:30 or 11. It gets hot. Let's just that's your hint. So the next year I was number one.
So you're saying there's shifts for the Easter Bunny. You want to be early.
You do an hour at a time.
Yeah. Dan, what's the best costume you've ever had for Halloween?
My mom made me I was an Ewok from Return of the Jedi when I was like 8 or 9.
Homemade or store bought?
No, homemade. She made it, and she stitched. My mom liked to sew, and
amazing. Yeah. I think we've got some pictures of that. No, just kidding.
There are. That is true somewhere.
Yeah.
Mark, what was your favorite? What was your favorite?
You're not share.
I don't know. Are you a dress up guy?
Oh yeah. When Davis was younger, I got as excited as he did. We used to decorate the house when we were.
It's a big holiday in my household. So
really?
Halloween, very big. JD Vance, if you didn't watch his event last night with Erica Kirk, the Turning Point event in Mississippi, go watch it. Incredible event. And even if you don't like JD Vance, even if you don't like Turning Point, if you're interested in JD Vance's political skills, I recommend you watch it. Quite a performance. And this is why I say he's underrated as a political athlete. He may not be Trump or Clinton or Obama, but he was damn good last night. And today, in the afternoon, he leads a roundtable at the White House focused on how the shutdown is impacting aviation. I got a flight coming up, so let's.
Can I tell you this? Last night, I as you can tell, I'm back in the Commonwealth of Virginia ahead of our election, and when I landed, they got the board right down there at baggage claim, and I took a picture of it. I would say 85, if not 90%, was yellow, which meant delayed flights. And right after I landed, apparently there's a ground stop at DCA. I mean, this is getting really, I think, for people who are traveling, it's precarious.
Yeah. And of course, America runs on two things. We run on Dunkin' and we run on airplane flights. So,
well, maybe when the Senate goes to leave town today, people will get upset and want to do something about it.
Senate does leave town today after they have a confirmation hearing before Health, Education, Labor, and Pension for Casey Means to be Surgeon General. They're voting on more votes on tariffs and on Alaska Petroleum Reserve. And Speaker Johnson, if it's a day that ends in Y, 10 a.m. press conference on the shutdown.
Real quick, can I just ask you guys, are you surprised? I am blown away politically that the Senate has been able to just walk away. It's like the Thursday, they're like, hey, we're done. We'll see you guys late Monday or Tuesday. I actually can't believe. I asked Ron Johnson the other day, do you strategically think this is stupid? He goes, well, we've already voted 13 times. I mean, I've never seen anything politically like this.
Yeah. Well, I think in my experience, they want to go home because they want to go home. And the leadership makes up this excuse. Let them blow off some steam. We're not making any progress with them here. They'll go home. They'll blow off some steam. They'll come back. They'll settle it.
I get it. I heard the whole thing, though, that the House hasn't been in town for a month. The Senate keeps adjourning, and Donald Trump's just going all over the world and, has one. I bet she has more press conferences today. Barely talks about it.
But I can't believe that if I was a rank and file Republican senator, I'd say vote twice a day, keep these guys here late at night, make them stay up past 4:30 after their nap. Like I don't get. To me, this is tactically just stupid.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I've never seen anything like it. I can't believe
Unless you think you're
it.
winning and it benefits
Yeah.
you, which
Yeah.
they both do.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the problem. We've never had a shutdown in my memory where the polling and the posture of both parties suggests keep going. Anything bad that happens, the other side's going to be blamed if we just spin hard enough.
Yeah,
Never seen
it's crazy.
Never seen it. Ohio Redistricting Commission meets at 4 o'clock today. All right, the president.
Talk about, by the way, that's a punt if I've never seen one. The Democrats just got an early Christmas gift in Ohio.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Why did the Ohio Republicans do that?
They had, well, if they hadn't gotten the buy-in, they risked having to have a ballot initiative that might not have that would have been on the ballot in 26, meaning it would not have happened. I mean, I was reading about this.
It was take bird in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So the president, I think every leg of every flight on the trip talked up a storm to the pool. And because whenever the president talks on Air Force One, for whatever reason, the audio and video don't always get cut. And when it happens at night, it really often doesn't get cut. You'll get little quotes, video, audio and video cut. And when it happens at night in Asia, forget about it. But thanks to our colleague Paul Wilkie, here is you won't see anything as good anywhere else. Here's the president on Air Force One explaining his perception of the China deal. 104, please.
Okay, hello everybody.
Mr. President.
I thought it was an amazing meeting. He's a great leader of a very powerful, very strong country, China. And what can I say? We have, it was an outstanding group of decisions, I think, that was made. A lot of decisions were made, too. There wasn't too much left out there. We're in agreement on so many elements, large amounts, tremendous amounts of the soybeans and other farm products are going to be purchased immediately, starting immediately. We have a deal. Now, every year we'll renegotiate the deal, but I think the deal will go on for a long time, long beyond the year. We'll negotiate at the end of the year, but all of the rare earth has been settled, and that's for the world. I mean, worldwide. On fentanyl, we agreed that he was going to work very hard to stop the flow. It's a very complex subject because it's used for lots of different reasons, including anesthetics and things. But he's going to work very hard on it, precursors, and I think you're going to see some real action taken. I think we agreed I'll be going to China in April, and he'll be coming here sometime after that, whether it's in Florida, Palm Beach, or Washington, D.C. But overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12.
Okay, and so we know, and the Chinese haven't disputed this, fentanyl progress, chips progress, although China hawks aren't crazy about what they've agreed to there. Soybean progress, rare earth progress. They talked a lot, you'll see in a second, they talked a lot about Ukraine, but no apparent progress. The president basically said nothing the Chinese can do because they're addicted to Russian oil. And then, although some thought they would be talking about Taiwan, the president said no. Here's the president summarizing his view of the Ukraine conversations.
Ukraine came up very strongly. We talked about it for a long time, and we're both going to work together to see if we can get something done. We agreed the sides are, locked in and fighting, and sometimes you have to let them fight, I guess. Crazy. But he's going to help us, and we're going to work together on Ukraine. There's not a lot more we can do. He's been buying oil from Russia for a long time. It takes care of a big part of China. And, I can say India's been very good on that front. But we didn't really discuss the oil. We discussed working together to see if we could get that war finished. It doesn't affect China. It doesn't affect us. And I'd like to see it done on the basis. I don't like to see 6, 7, 8,000 young people, mostly young people, for the most part, soldiers be killed. It's not costing us anything. In fact, we make money, and I don't even want to talk about making money. I don't care about making money in that case. We're going to work together to try and get the war with Russia and Ukraine solved.
So, Sean, it seems like what the president says happened is what Scott Bess had previewed precisely, and they didn't, and at least based on what occurred in a meeting that was shorter than some thought, they didn't really come out with anything new beyond what was already previewed, which is counter to the normal, conventional wisdom of how you do these: preview, over promise, under promise, over deliver. So there's I think, some feeling out in the ether that this was disappointing, and particularly with no progress on Ukraine. So, leaving aside the spin of it, just on the substance, is this a good deal for the United States?
Yeah, it's a really good deal. And I'll tell you what, one of the things two things. One, on the AI thing, I've talked to some pretty heavy hitters over the last few months about the chips. And there is definitely a split, but there's a very compelling case for a lot of that I've sort of come to realize, which is having them buy the chips that we sort of give them is better than them going and doing it their own and us not knowing what they're getting, right? So us having visibility on what they're getting, how much they're getting, what they're doing with them is a lot better than us shutting them out and not knowing what they're doing. So that's, anyway, I think that's important too. One of the byproducts of this rare earth thing and is the need to decouple from China. And so one of the things that has happened over the last couple of months in particular is that we've started to go to Canada, to Australia, to Southeast Asia, and to say, where can we work with you guys on rare earth minerals? Instead of just trying to figure out how to keep punting with China and hoping that daddy gives us something more this week for our allowance, what it's done is shined a bright light on how dependent we are on critical things and that we do need to decouple. So I actually think there's a byproduct of this meeting that's not being discussed. It's huge. Net, I still think it's a great thing. Two logistical things. One, I did think it was funny to watch. If you're watching the video that Paul put out together for us, watch where Jamieson Greer, the U.S. trade rep, it's almost like he keeps going back and forth around the president. And I don't know if that was directed by the president himself or if Jamieson wanted to get a better thing. But two, to your point, Mark, and this is again one of those subtleties that doesn't get discussed. The reason that video came out, is my understanding, is because the White House streamed some stuff on YouTube real quick and made that video, which normally would not have been made available because the media couldn't have gotten it out. The White House communications. I think why I'm bringing this up is that the sophistication in the second term in terms of how to deliver a message has really taken a step up. The team is more experienced, understands what tools are at their disposal and the importance of getting a message back to us so that we're playing it now and not waiting until later today. And there's a logistics piece to this trip that I think shows a degree of sophistication that wasn't there in our first term.
Totally agree. And just to clarify, ridiculously for a country with modern communication, typically those gaggles are not streamed live by either the press or the government. Right. In this case, the government streamed the audio live, so the president got to shape the perceptions of the deal as soon as possible. Dan, what do you like about this deal as we know it, even though there's unknowns? What don't you like about it?
It's so to be determined. I mean, it's a 1-year suspension of rare earth, so at any moment they could yank this back, and also we're going to be right back in the same spot. We'll see if they're going to buy the soybeans. I mean, they say they are, but they said in the first term they do this, and we've seen they will. If we get start saying or doing anything, they'll dial it back. It's another point of leverage. The oil and gas sounds like it's 80% there, but there's some stuff to be worked out. So we'll see. Look, they get reduction in tariffs. They get a suspension of port fees for their ships going into our ports. And I think the AI chip thing is huge. And to Sean's point, the national security apparatus, both in MAGA and what we'll call the traditional foggy bottom, is totally split on this. Because while we then know what they're getting, once they get those chips, Sean, they go to a military installation. We have no idea what they're doing with them and how they're going to advance it.
And they can, even if they take ours, they can still develop their own.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it's the status quo, right? And I've said this all week. We've gone right back to where we were at the start of this. So what I would ask myself as an American is, all of this chaos, all of this uncertainty, for what? What is the net gain since January?
Well, we weren't getting soybeans. We didn't have a deal
No,
on
they had pledged in the first term. They had
first
stopped.
term, and that was 8 years ago.
So they pledged again, but there's no guarantee. There's no check out the door. We don't know. What have we gotten? And I think that's the thing. Look, in Trump's defense, they got a lot of leverage. And this proved China has a ton of leverage on us. We're trying to get it on them. And I applaud Trump for that. But we don't have it yet to get the upper hand. It's a stalemate.
Yeah. And then lays the groundwork for additional meetings. And to the extent trust matters, perhaps they build trust between the leaders, but also Bessent and his counterpart. So
I don't think she trusts Trump one iota.
Well, I thought the beginning, that first greeting was telling. Trump was like, we're good friends, and patting him. And she was stoic. And it was, to me, it was like, I get that that's more of a Chinese thing, but at the end of the day, it didn't look as friendly as I had kind of hoped there might be.
I think she feels like he stood eyeball to eyeball. Yeah. And he did not, like in the first term, I think, remember the first meeting at Mar-a-Lago where Trump.
Yeah, here's the greeting.
Yeah, Trump bombed Syria. And she was stunned, and the Chinese were kind of put on a back foot, and Trump was laughing at him. I feel like the Chinese view is we're eyeball to eyeball right now.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk more about this again. If you want to talk about China with us, please raise your hand. We talked about the shutdown a little bit already, obviously. If you didn't see it yesterday, extremely heated. Schumer was heated. Even Thune and Johnson were pretty heated. Name calling, attack, really lashing back at reporters. And I don't know if that's theatrics or heartfelt. It seemed pretty heartfelt and intense. Sean, or obviously nothing's going to happen this week because the Senate's leaving. Where are we now? People are now speculating. Same list: air traffic control, SNAP, health premiums. Where's the most likely area for movement?
I think on both. I mean, to Dan's point, I know it sounds like kind of a very selfish thing, but when these guys go to the airport today, and it's like, remember, for a lot of folks, it's a skip and a jump. So you got to go to somewhere, to Chicago, and then to Bismarck or whatever, And once they start getting delayed and their lives getting affected, it's amazing how quick they act. So I think there's a little bit of that. They're going to hear a lot of problems from SNAP recipients over the next couple days. The local stories are going to heat up. And again, what's happening is, at least what I've seen now in two different media markets, it's less about finger pointing and just pox on both of your houses. Benefits are expiring. Congress hasn't done anything. And so therefore, they're not getting the delineation that like one side to blame. And so if you're the local member of Congress or senator, you're hearing fix it, fix it, fix it. I think that's going to resonate a lot more. Again, as I've said before, I just don't know what. It's easy to say, here's the solution: open government back up, make it 2 weeks. Democrats keep using the word leverage, like that they're going to give up leverage if they agree to open up the government. I don't see any other solution though. So,
let me ask you one question about the president, and then Dan, macro view. He's going to hear stories when he comes home about people losing their SNAP benefits. Is it possible, do you think, or how likely do you think it is that he gets more involved and backs off the posture of we're just not going to negotiate?
Well, there's a difference between negotiating, and I could see them, like I said, they use tariff revenue to cover the first 30 days of SNAP last time. I can see them trying to find a valve to say, hey, get some money for a week to these states, and maybe it's 10 days, and maybe it's, so I could see that happening less as a negotiating tactic and just as a human thing.
Yeah. Dan.
Yeah, I think both sides are beginning to get a little uncomfortable for Sean. To Sean's point, so far, you don't see one side tipping over in the polls, meaning it's 50-30 to blame one side or the other. It's about 50-50. Now, the trend line, it was a pretty big Democratic advantage. Now it's kind of solid. I think both leaders feel frustration. I think both sides thought the other would have blinked by now. I think Democrats thought Trump would get involved and cut a deal. Republicans think, Schumer would be just kind of like broken apart. It hasn't happened. And I think there is movement now to try to figure out how to end this. Like everyone's starting to think about how do we get out. But to your point, Sean, what it is, what's the deal, and the trust factor being what it is, I can't see Trump being like, I'm going to get involved and I'm going to undercut Johnson and Thune. This is a what's biggest on the table right now.
But in previous
never backs down in those situations.
In previous shutdowns, you know, having been here and part of them, like as a staffer and as an observer, like you felt it more. When Obama did it, there was tape around the World War II memorial. It was blatantly obvious. We wanted people to know we're in a shutdown. The president announced that he's paying military service members, active duty military, and so like a lot fewer people are feeling that impact. And so I think SNAP is going to be your first real concrete thing where there's a massive millions of Americans that feel the pain of this in a way that hasn't happened in the last 30 days.
Like, I mean, look, if the JD Vance event today, back in the day, would have happened every single day. Part of the problem for everybody is Trump, generates content every hour that dominates cable, that dominates stuff. And it's not about this. So if he returns and starts every single day, the White House is holding events and he's on X about the pain of Americans, I think that changes the temperature. Right now, we started the show talking about China.
Yeah. The president talked about a bunch of foreign policy stuff on Air Force One, and he's been on Truth Social a lot too. Talked about potential future meeting with Kim Jong-un. He talked about talking to Canada. He's talked about Israel and Gaza, whether he's gotten heads up over some of these U.S. Israeli military actions. And then out of the blue, the president announced on Truth Social and then talked about it on Air Force One that he's directed the Pentagon to resume nuclear testing. Here's the president, this is 112, Paul, on Air Force One, talking about his theory about why there needs to be renewed U.S. nuclear tests that haven't occurred in many, many years. 112, please.
About resuming nuclear testing, what prompted you to do that right before the meeting?
It had to do with others. They seem to all be nuclear testing. We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
Just one more on the nuclear announcement. Do you worry that we're entering a more risky environment when it comes to nuclear issues?
No, I don't think so. I think we have it pretty well locked up. But we have more than anybody. But I see them testing. I say, well, if they're going to test, I guess we have to test. I'd like to see a denuclearization because we have so many, and Russia has some. Russia's second, and China's third, and China will catch up within 4 or 5 years. I think de-escalation would be, they would call it denuclearization, would be a tremendous thing. And it's something, we are actually talking to Russia about that, and China would be added to that if we do something.
So Russia and North Korea are testing nuclear capabilities, although not full-fledged tests as far as we know, I believe, nuclear weapons. Dan, any sense of why the president thought this was the right thing to say?
I think it's a machismo, sign of strength, and just, hey, Vladimir, you want to think about, potentially if a Ukrainian missile hits your territory using nuclear weapons, like ours are bigger than yours.
It was also right before the Xi meeting too. There's a little bit of, just as a reminder, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Again, we'll get to you all in just a moment. So please raise your hand if you want the conversation. If you've never raised your hand before, today could be the day to do it. If you've never raised your hand, think about it. New York City mayoral race. Michael Bloomberg put $1.5 million into a super PAC supporting Cuomo, attacking Mondami. Here's Spectrum News, New York One. Bloomberg endorses Cuomo. He'd endorsed him weeks ago. He sort of re-endorsed him. But the bigger thing was
endorse.
He put money in. So I said this last night on Two Way Tonight. I worked for Mike Bloomberg. He's a data guy, and he's not going to put money in if it's a lost cause. So clearly, and he polls everything. He's got a big political operation. So presumably they saw something that made them think this was not maybe higher than Jim Carrey. So you're saying there's a chance level. Public opinion polls all over the map, but the latest ones show Mondami with an insurmountable lead. Emerson, Mondami at 50, Cuomo at 25, Mondami 48, Cuomo 32, Maris, Quinnipiac closer, 10 points, but still 10 points. There's we're at the end here, so there's some endorsements, there's some new ads, whatever. But Dan, where do you see the race right now?
I still think it's Mondani is likely to win. I think it really is just, what is the electorate turnout? Is there some sort of quiet surge of voters who either traditionally don't vote in the mayoral, or whatever. And the one thing we haven't talked a lot about, but like is worth pondering is if Mondani loses, what will be the civil war in the party? Because if it turns out, he loses, the base is going to say the middle and the right flank went to war against one of our own and took him down. Think about 2028. Think about the primaries in 2026. We haven't given a lot of thought. Everyone's about what if Mondani wins and he's the poster child for the RNC. But
and Cuomo yesterday on two appearances, Stephen A. Smith and on Fox Business, sounded like a Fox News pundit talking about how Mondani is in league with AOC and is ruining the party, and it was quite something. So I agree with the point you just made. Sean, you going to Ladbrokes? What are you doing?
So I'll flip this though. I keep thinking if Cuomo wins, does he have the recognition to know that he didn't win? Mondami lost, right? I mean, this is sometimes people have to remember that we had this issue in Virginia 4 years ago where it was Terry McAuliffe to lose and he lost it. And you have to sometimes get the right message out of an election. And so to me, I think Mondami can't have election day come soon enough. I think people are waking up and realizing the choice. What worries me most about this is I believe the number was 775,000-ish voted in last New York City mayoral race 4 years ago. My understanding is that number is going to get swamped. And that's a very concerning number if you're Mondami. Like, why are all these other people coming out? What's the demographic? Again, as I said, the problem is that a race like this is not pollable, like in a meaningful way, because you don't know if a Democrat votes, are they voting traditional Democrat or are they voting for Cuomo? So I think that we're going into a little bit of a black box here.
I agree. And the vacuum of that black box for many of you, thank you for your help. For me, is filled by doing what one of my executive producers when I worked at ABC News used to do at election day, which he'd call early in the morning. He'd call into the morning meeting and he'd say, my dentist waited 90 minutes to vote today, and he normally waits 45. So turnout will be very big in this presidential race.
Yeah.
This would be one polling place in Jersey.
How many yard signs did he see on the way?
Exactly. So it's a harbinger. So those of you who are texting me photos of long lines in Hasidic neighborhoods and say Cuomo's got it in the bag, or those of you sending me video of 25 Mondami volunteers all excited, like, thank you for your tea leaves. But no, we don't know. But thank you for your tea leaves. I got 5 more days of tea leaves. I also have this today announcing now. Tuesday night, Two-Way will have live coverage starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time with our colleagues and partners at the New York Post of all the races. Focus, of course, on New York City mayors, New Jersey, and Virginia. We'll have more details for you about how you can watch all the usual places here on the Two-Way platform, on the Washington New York Post website, YouTube channel, as well as Two-Way. So more deals to come, but we'll be able to spend election night together. And we say conversations like no other. We will be doing what we always do. We'll aggregate all the coverage, everything on social media, on cable news, etc. So if you want to come one place and be able to participate in the conversation and find out what's being reported everywhere, please plan on joining us Tuesday night. Lastly,
attention to that matter.
Exactly. Lastly, the Wall Street Journal are reporting that one possible location for this thing that's been reported before, a brilliant idea as far as I'm concerned, both parties are considering it, which is to have kind of a midterm convention. And the Journal says that Vegas, baby, may be the location. Here's the Wall Street Journal headline. For those of you listening on the podcast, I shall read it for you. Trump advisors consider Las Vegas for rare midterm political convention. The president's team says the event will be a forum to tout Republican candidates and highlight Trump's agenda. Democrats, again, talking about doing this too. Sean, if you were the executive producer of this event, what would it look like? How many days? What kind of speakers would you have? What role would you give the president? Like, lay it out for us, Vegas.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, one of the dirty little secrets about conventions is everyone always worries about where. They go, oh, was it Vegas, New York, D.C.? The number one issue on any convention is money, money, and money. How is the host committee? Can they pay for it? Can they do security? That's it. It could be in a ranch in New Mexico if they could put up the money. That's all that you care about. The other funny thing is that having been part of the process a few times, Vegas was always something that everybody wanted to do. And then the party faithful said, I don't know that it'll look good to have it in Vegas with all of the. And so it shows you Donald Trump was like, screw that. We're going to Vegas. Vegas, D.C., and 2 other cities are in play. I think I would do a 2.5, a 3-day thing, 2 nights. with the third night being, obviously Trump and MAGA stars. You lead into it with the Senate. You have the House guys on the first night, um, and
Dan,
all,
Dan,
and then maybe some, youth groups and I mean, it would be a jam of videos. It would look like the COVID convention though. A lot of like
yeah,
where they
taped.
did that thing at the Building Museum, I
Yeah.
think it was.
Dan, if price were fundraising were no object and hotel rooms were no object,
Brought to you by crypto.com.
where would you
Social.
put the Democratic one and what would that look like for you? Who would your speakers be?
Yeah, well, first off, I do want to say, because we give him a lot of crap, hat tip to Ken Martin, who was the first person, the DNC chairman, who had this idea and floated it, back in the spring. So, we a little bit of credit to him for this. I think it depends. So conventions, Sean talked about the money and everything. It's also, you have themes. What are you trying to emphasize each night, and who do you think best represents those themes? So presumably, the point of this is to win, for Democrats, the House, which as of today, you're thinking those New York suburban districts and a couple of suburban districts also in places like Pennsylvania, et cetera. So what is it that we're running on? Because again, this is going to go to where do you want to put it? It's going to be a mini convention. You're not going to get all the hotels and lock everything. Like, it's too late to do that.
Well, but
so it's more going to be like
you don't. Sorry, but you don't have delegates, so you don't need all the hotel rooms.
Right. It's just a TV show that you're going to try to get from, let's say, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Right.
So
if it's 3 nights, night one would be about the destruction of the East Wing, right? That'd be the first.
Well, I mean,
night.
I think it would be like the House. I think Sean's right. You probably would try to feature some House candidates one night, some Senate candidates, and some luminaries.
Okay. Would you let the following? Would you want the following people to speak if you were executive producer? The Obamas.
Yes.
The Clintons.
Yes. Period.
Biden, Harris.
Nope. And that's, I was about to bring up Kamala
No,
Harris.
it would be at night, so you couldn't.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be the challenge because who controls the DNC?
Yeah.
What about Bernie Sanders? What about AOC?
AOC. Well, that's
Gavin
my point.
Newsom.
Who do you want?
About Josh Shapiro?
Stop rhetorical. I made you executive producer. Do you want AOC to speak?
Yes, I do, because I want her energy, and I want the base fired up.
Yeah. Would you let Schumer have a big speaking part?
Nope.
Okay, that was a gimme.
He'd be at 5 o'clock with Chris Hayes.
Yeah, exactly. For all the reporters watching, if you want to do smart thing, check the cancellation policy. But I would book the Trump Hotel in Vegas for the entire month because that's where you want to stay if you're a reporter.
One of the reasons, by the way, to Sean's point, having been involved in the DNC, that Vegas was always axed was the worry about what videos may be captured of party officials doing certain activities late at night. You did not want stories of people at strip clubs, gambling halls, whatever.
Oh, I thought you meant late. I thought you meant late night Thai food.
Yeah. That's the least of the worries.
Ice cream.
Yeah. All right. I'm super excited about these off-year conventions. I hope it happens every year for the rest.
Are you kidding? I don't need that. No.
Ask me where. If I were the Democrats, and I think I could keep a lid on this, and it's not like a Palestinian flag waving, shit show.
Detroit.
I was just about to say Michigan.
Yeah. That's
not
smart.
Detroit. I'd even go in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Go to Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else.
I just need the one thing I'll say that's I talked about how much they cost. If I were them, I would build something around obviously the Dems do this much better with Act Blue, but I would figure out a way to basically say it would be like a telethon. Give us money, give us money, give us money.
100%. Now, the question, of course, is size of venue, right? Vegas, there's a football stadium, there's a basketball arena. I wonder, it is just a TV show, but part of what you may want, like at a convention, is 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. I think Trump could fill the football stadium.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. So the question is, the Democrats feel like they've got to try to match that, and not easy to fill, even if you give the seats away. Not necessarily easy. All right, here we go. One word from one quick sponsor, and then your questions. Again, if you're here on the two-way platform, want to get in the conversation, please raise your hand. We'd love for some new people today. I'm not going to say we have to get 3 new people or the show's canceled, but I might. So please raise your hand if you've never raised before.
Even if you identify as a new person.
Exactly. There you go. Brought to you today by the morning meeting by the folks at ponchooutdoors.com/Mark. Get $10 off your first order and free shipping. Poncho has you covered with a range of clothes, denims, flannels that are comfortable and soft and feel like broken in right from the start. They're comfortable. I've been wearing them all week, and I could not be enjoying them more. Western styling that pairs with anything. even here in Gotham City, and I've got my cowboy boots to go with them. The flannels, again, right out of the package, they don't feel stiff at all. They feel nice, light, and but still warm. They layer well, and the versatile polos, premium Pima cotton, soft, strong, and breathable. Same thing. Gave it to my son and said, "Feel this. Is this soft?" And he said yes, and he's got the softest clothes in the world. Free shipping, free returns, free exchanges to make sure you get what you want. Again, gear up for the fall with Poncho, every piece built for comfort, performance, and lasting style. Go to ponchooutdoors.com/Mark. Enter your email. You get $10 off your first order and free shipping. And if they ask, if a little pop-up comes up, where'd you hear about it? It said, Sean Dan and Mark sent you. Sean Dan, and Mark sent you. Anyway, thank you for your attention to that matter as well. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Elvis is in the building. Elvis, welcome in. Thank you for being part of Two Way. Unmute. Tell folks.
Hello.
Folks
Hello, Sean.
Elvis, you've never been on before, have you, Elvis?
I've never been on it, but I watch your show daily.
Welcome in. We're glad. Where do you live, Elvis?
I live in New York.
New York City?
Yeah.
Where do you live in New York City, if you don't mind saying?
Manhattan, like
Manhattan. Yeah.
Manhattan.
The fancy island. You ever been to Staten Island, Elvis?
Yeah. I'm in my high school.
Okay, Elvis, what do they call the Staten Island ferry in Staten Island?
I don't know.
The Manhattan ferry. The floor is yours, Elvis. Welcome and thank you for being part
I got two questions for Sean.
Yes, sir.
So why aren't you using the fact that SNAP is ending soon, right? Against Democrat, right? Saying every time you vote against the things we are, you vote against starving 42 million Americans. They should be putting pressure on the Democrats, saying, "Oh, every time you vote against this, you voting for families to go hungry."
I don't know if you saw the clip. It got C-SPAN viral yesterday. But John Thune, who I've known since literally I think the day he came to Washington in the House, I've never seen him so animated. He made that point. As I said to Mark and Dan earlier, I think the Senate Republicans get a D for tactics and strategy. I agree with you. I think the idea that they're leaving town, the idea that they're not on the steps every day with military members and sheriffs and border patrol or law enforcement, blah blah blah. I mean, just to your point, SNAP, whatever. Like their messaging has been horrible. They're not amping up the volume. They cast a vote and then they go off to the spa. I think it's been horrible, and it's an example of how not to handle a messaging. So the Senate conference gets a D, and I agree with you, Elvis. It's just not. They're not making a compelling case and putting their foot on the gas.
Well, it's an old school approach, which is speak from the Senate floor and speak from the press gallery, as opposed to, as you say, get real people involved, get out of the Capitol and put pressure. And you see in the era of Trump, the tree falls and nobody hears it.
Yeah.
Nobody pays attention to those.
But they're not even trying, Dan. I agree with you, but I also feel like at some effort, I remember back when we had spending issues. I mean, not when we had them, but when I was, and I'd say, why? Well, it'll never pass. Like they didn't even try. Yeah. My point is, at least show us that you're trying. It's so disappointing to see this.
Yeah.
So
Elvis, next question.
My other question. Do you think Trump will primary Marjorie
Taylor Greene?
Yeah, next year, because she's like speaking out against them, and now she's like pro illegal immigrants. Now that she has a construction company, and now she wants cheap labor. So you think he will primary her or not?
I'm not aware of the latter of what you just spoke about, the immigration piece. I'm not aware.
She was speaking on CNN and other mainstream, saying that she's okay with illegal immigrants now. As she said, she should find a way to stay here.
Okay, and, I'd look into that. Maybe Marjorie's been hacked. But I think she has been a very strong supporter of President and the MAGA movement. Marjorie would have to do a lot to get a primary from anybody. And even if they did, I think she's pretty secure in that area of Georgia. So I don't think he will. I think she's been very clear that while she sometimes disagrees with the president, it's not personal. So very different relationship there.
Elvis, thank you.
Dan, if you ever ran for Senate, I will vote for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Elvis.
Elvis, thank you.
Is it just Senate, or could Dan run for like mayor?
No, president. We're skipping.
Yeah, I know. I feel like
the commute downtown's better than DC. Yeah.
Christy, welcome in. Thank you for being part of Two-Way. Unmute. Tell folks where you are, what's on your mind for Dan and for Sean, and thank you for being here.
I guess be careful what you wish for. I'm so nervous.
No,
you know
don't
what?
be at all.
You know what? The worst thing can happen is that Dan could smile. Don't worry. Don't be nervous. A friendly place. Everybody's happy to see you here. So relax, take a deep yoga breath, and say what you wish.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Thanks. I am actually originally from Louisiana, but I live in California. I've lived here for about 30 years, and I don't have a voice in my state.
Yeah.
I'm an independent, and I am very nervous about Proposition 50. You all think it's in the bag. And I also want to send red flags to everyone about Gavin Newsom. He is a shape-shifting snake in the grass. I am not a fan of him. And
is there somebody you'd love to be governor of California who lives in your state? Do you think be a great governor?
Caruso just came out in favor of yes on 50, so he's not on my he's.
Yeah. Why do you feel so strongly about 50?
Because, well, first of all, I am registered as an independent simply because I'm probably more of a closeted conservative, because it's just not something that you could say broadly. I'm kind of outing myself, I guess, right now by even saying this, but
there are millions of conservatives in California. Don't worry, you're not like alone behind enemy lines.
I'm coastal too, so it's a really hard place to be.
Yeah.
I'm in kind of a flyover county. I'm in Ventura County, so it's between Santa Barbara and Los Angeles. So
yeah.
My good friend Jeff Gorell, he's your supervisor, right?
Yes, he is. Now, all that said, my understanding is in 50, we will lose our, and I say that I'm not registered as any party. I have cats running around. They're not registered to vote, though, I promise. I know in California, that's not unheard of. On 50, I understand that conservatives will lose their voice at a rate of 8-1.
Yeah.
And it's very concerning because the uniparty, I mean, I know Schwarzenegger has come out recently on Mar to say, talking about the commission, I just see the mass exodus of people out of the state. I see the mass exodus of business out of the state. And I didn't even want to talk about Prop 50 initially. I just wanted to put a plug in for Prop 50.
All good. Tell us what you want to ask about. I'm sorry.
I want to give a great quote from Larry Elder, who I voted for to replace Newsom a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He said, and I thought this was really great because I think this is really, it's actually about the ballroom. and he said that, how a camel looks like a horse built by a committee. He said that the Obama Presidential Library looks like a building built by a committee of camels. And I thought that was a hilarious quote, but I thought, is the motivation for the ballroom an opportunity, if you look at Trump's presidency as whether it's a hero or a villain's arc, that origin story in that, I think it was 2011 or sometime well before he ran, that White House, the Correspondents' Dinner, where Obama just razzed Trump to the point of running. And I think, is this Trump's opportunity? I think he has ODS in the same way that so many have TDS. And I think that he is obsessed to some extent with Obama. But I think that this is his opportunity to beat Obama at a very comfortable place for Trump, which is building, building something and outbuilding.
Okay, let's let the guys comment. Thank you for that, Christy. Sean, thoughts?
So it's interesting. The latter part of what you said, I totally agree with. I appreciate you bringing it up. First of all, and thank you for coming on, Christy. But because you're the first person that's really said. I mean, he as a builder, this is when you build something significant like a ballroom. It's not just like changing the basketball court or something that a lot of folks do. Sort of some external minimal thing. I think there is something to be said for a legacy of building. Like he wants something that he is known for to do. I've never been a big believer, though, in the Obama thing. I think a lot of the folks in the media obsess about that White House Correspondents' Dinner. I spent a decent amount of time around the guy. He's actually said some pretty positive things about Obama in he was very impressed with the letter that Obama left him, and he thought that the Obamas treated him well when he was transitioning. I mean, privately he makes fun of the policies and stuff, but I'm not one of those people that subscribes to this notion of him obsessing over Obama. And again, you never know with Donald Trump. I mean, maybe it's true, but I've just never heard him in my presence do that.
Dan.
I think that he's talked about the ballroom for over 10 years. I actually happen to think there needs to be some sort of physical structure to host large numbers of people, whether for state dinners or large events. I do think he loves the idea that for the rest of time, he will be known for the one who built that. The way people talk about the Truman balcony, and I think it was in Eisenhower they started doing a massive gut renovation. Like, people always say that is the Trump ballroom. So I think he does love the idea of leaving a lasting legacy. I think on redistricting, look, I could go all over the map. The number of states where the allocation of representatives is not matched to the public, meaning, Texas, where you may have a 80 to 20, even though it's like a 55-45 state, Florida, Ohio, like now California, Illinois, Maryland, they're trying to get to be 8-0. Everybody is trying to squeeze, because of analytics and because they can pinpoint voters so much better, the ability to draw maps where you go into blocks and cut out, individual houses to shore up it's remarkable, and it's sad.
Yeah. Christy, thank you. No reason to have been nervous, as you see. So thank you for being part of Two Way. Grateful to you. Daryl, welcome in. Thanks for being part of Two Way. Tell folks where you are, what's on your mind.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really admire this show. I live in Easton, Connecticut. So,
Sure.
and I'm actually, funnily enough, head of the Easton Republican Town Council, and we have a municipal election going on, which is actually pretty exciting. It's the first big election we've had in a few years on our side. Anyway, I guess I wanted to have two statements and a quick question. So I guess regarding Mike Bloomberg, I lived in New York City for years, worked on Wall Street. I think it's basically a real shame that Mike Bloomberg hasn't gotten enough blame for the situation that New York is in right now. And I say that because, he ran the city as a technocrat after Giuliani. I think by all accounts, he was a very good mayor. A nominal Republican. We all knew that he was a Democrat, but that was fine. And then when de Blasio comes in, he says nothing for 2 terms. Nothing, not a word of criticism of him trashing the city, and really kind of ruining his legacy. He spent more time trashing Trump than he did defending the city that he lives in. And, if he had said one word of maybe de Blasio is not such a great idea for New York City right now, just one word, the New York media would have picked it up and would have stopped him in his tracks. But I think Mamdani is just a natural result of decline that kind of started with de Blasio, continued with Adams, and is now happening right now. And I think a lot of that needs to be placed right on the feet of Michael Bloomberg, because
Yeah. Okay, Daryl.
Well,
thank you for that.
It's a great question, Daryl, because both my wife and a lot of friends, we have talked a lot about the de Blasio era. I think if Bloomberg had come out against de Blasio, it would have strengthened de Blasio, because you have to remember when Bloomberg left, de Blasio's "I'll be the mayor for all of New York City" was code for outside of Manhattan, right? Things don't feel as great. And so I am going to represent people outside of it. That feeling still persists today. The kind of 2 New York cities, the Manhattan side, it's great property values, the safety in the West Village and the Upper East Side's better than, other parts of this city. I don't know if Bloomberg going to war against him would have really helped. I do think you make a lot of great points, but there is a lot of change afoot in this city. And I think bringing the outer boroughs and the Manhattanites together for a common shared set of goals is a challenge. I mean, Bloomberg greenlit all the development, right? And a lot of it was built the Hudson Yards and 57th Street, and not as much in the outer boroughs, right? And that's the criticism. But I'm with you. I think Bloomberg was an amazing mayor. I think he would have been a great president.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, as a data guy, Yeah, as a data guy, Bloomberg spent $100 million on his last run, and Elizabeth Warren destroyed him with that horse-faced lesbian comment on the debate. Just it was unbelievable. But
he tried to change his stripes.
Yeah,
and she wasn't going to let him apologize and move on. I mean, the irony is, if Bloomberg hadn't run in 20, he probably would have been the perfect candidate in 24 if he had stayed consistent. But
absolutely. And again, so the question I had was basically regarding SNAP. I heard the lady, the military lady down in Louisiana, she gave just an impassioned plea for fixing SNAP benefits. But I think there is a really disturbing TikTok trend where people are threatening a purge if SNAP benefits are cut off. And, if that actually gets legs, that is going to make a real big case for a wholesale reevaluation of SNAP. Because on the one hand, you've got, positive military families. This affects lots of people. But on a huge negative part, these people are unapologetic on TikTok talking about robbing Walmarts and supermarkets, things of this nature. I don't know how it's going to go. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about that.
Okay. Sean.
Real quick on Bloomberg, because I'll sit this one out since I don't live there, but I will say two things to remember about Bloomberg post-mayoral. One, he's still a businessman in New York, right? And so you got to be careful what you do or say. And two, there is a degree of tradition about criticizing your predecessor. So I will give him, again, I'm probably not the best person to weigh in on that, but I would say that those two things are probably relevant to the discussion. On the SNAP thing, I've been watching these videos pop up more and more, Daryl, and I'm glad you brought it up because they're very troubling to say, this gives us a reason to do stuff now that we didn't have and da-da-da-da. I think, to your point, we keep talking about who, and again, taking the human side out and making it just purely political for a second. If that manifests itself truly over the first 4 or 5 days, I think that this could change the entire debate real quick. It becomes like a BLM thing where suddenly you're seeing destruction. You're saying, hey, maybe agree with you on the cause. Like Nicole, very impassioned. People want to care about her, go to a food bank. Suddenly it becomes, are you kidding me? This is what's happening. I mean, I think this could tear at the fabric of the country real quick if that does happen.
Daryl, thank you. Grateful to you for the 2 questions. Appreciate it. And I agree with Sean about Mayor Bloomberg not wanting to criticize his successors. That's a thing for New York mayors, very similar to presidents. Sean, what do you have tonight?
Well, it's Thursday, so we got to do a panel discussion and break it all down. Emily Sturge from Campus Reform, Reagan Reese of the Daily Caller traveled with Vice President Vance last night, on Air Force Two. So she'll tell us exactly what happened at that, how that rally went down, what was on the inside. And then Chris Salcedo, former colleague and host of the Chris Salcedo radio show, will join us as well.
Awesome. Love Chris Salcedo. Dan.
I'm just enjoying the day.
Do you not have?
Sorry. Wait, and we have the group chat. Talking about.
By the way, did you just put that? You look very snappy today. Did you not? I figured you must have some kind of important meeting.
No, actually, I didn't want to do more laundry. I have the group chat this afternoon, and tend to wear the. So I'll be back with my colleagues, Joe Morris, Nina Turner, and Robbie Suave. So please join us at 4:00. Sorry about that, Mark.
Don't. That's okay. All good. I'll tell you about my day. 12:30, I'll be on the Charlie Kirk show with his crew and talking about the New York City mayor's race and some other stuff. Next episode of Next Up drops later today. My reported monologue on the recurring history for Democrats in the media about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. It's a story I don't wish to cover, but they're forcing my hand. So I'll be talking about what's going on there. Then my guests include Ro Khanna and 3 great reporters. Alex Seitzwald, who left national media to move to Maine and started a newspaper up in Maine. He's been covering the Plattner story more than anybody else. And then my colleagues from the New York Post, who will be doing election night with me, Ricky Schlott and Lydia Moynihan, will be on. That'll drop later today on YouTube and on podcast. And then 2-way tonight, 6:00 tonight, opportunity to enjoy my guests. And I'm currently blanking on who's on with me.
Steve Almendorf and
Steve Almendorf and who else? Somebody else.
It's a woman.
I can't remember. Anyway, we'll talk about all the day's news. So join us at 6:00 tonight, and then am I missing a show? I apologize. I got a lot going on here. Moynihan Report not on tonight. So Matt Whitlock and Steve Almendorf will join me at 6. So Dan at 4, Sean and myself at 6. and then Next Up, and then Charlie Kirk show. So plenty of content for you to enjoy. Grateful to everybody. We had some new folks on today, which is lovely. And we look forward to seeing everybody back here in 23 hours. It's Friday.
Are we dressing up? We got to make that call.
Halloween. I'm going as an endorser of Fairway and Green products.
That's what I was going to do.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you all in 23 hours. And it's Friday. So besides a incredible Halloween spectacle where I'll be snorting candy corn, or as they call it in some parts of the country, chicken corn, right through my nostrils, we'll be having our winners and losers of the week and what to look for in the weekend. So it's an episode you won't want to miss. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you later.